Welcome to our overview of trade agreements, a concise guide to how nations cooperate to manage cross-border commerce and economic policy. In the next few minutes, we will walk through the main types, key rules, impacts on economies and societies, and some real-world examples to help you understand why these deals matter. This presentation covers the essentials of trade agreements, starting with definitions and objectives, then exploring bilateral, multilateral, and regional deals, key components, impacts and negotiation challenges, and closing with case studies that illustrate how theory plays out in practice. Trade agreements are legally binding pacts between countries that lower barriers and encourage cooperation. Their goals are straightforward: to foster collaboration for smoother trade, to stimulate economic growth by expanding market access and efficiency, and to create shared standards so trade is predictable and fair across borders. Trade agreements matter because they open markets, link economies, and benefit consumers while supporting global supply chains. The visuals here show how breaking down barriers increases choices, encourages specialization, and helps integrate production networks across countries, ultimately boosting trade and productivity. Agreements come in different forms: bilateral deals between two nations that tailor rules for specific partners, multilateral treaties that set broad global standards, regional arrangements that deepen integration among neighbors, and preferential pacts that offer select advantages to chosen partners to promote cooperation. Bilateral agreements are practical and focused. They are mutual commitments between two countries to reduce tariffs and quotas, often target particular sectors or goods, and are legally enforceable through treaties, with the handshake images underscoring the negotiated, reciprocal nature of these deals. Classic bilateral examples include USMCA, which modernized North American trade rules, the EU-Japan Economic Partnership Agreement that lowered tariffs in key industries, and smaller FTAs like India, Sri Lanka, each designed to boost exports, improve market access, and strengthen economic ties between partners. Trade agreements bring clear advantages like job creation and investment, but they also have limits. Bilateral deals may lack the broad reach of multilateral accords. Power imbalances can skew terms towards stronger economies, and complying with specific rules can create regulatory complexity for businesses. Multilateral agreements involve many nations agreeing on common rules to promote fair global trade, drive deeper economic integration by reducing barriers like tariffs and quotas, and provide mechanisms that help resolve cross-border trade disputes so international commerce runs more smoothly. The WTO plays a central role in multilateral trade by setting rules that countries follow, offering dispute settlement systems to resolve conflicts fairly, and monitoring member compliance to promote transparency and encourage corrective action when agreements are violated. Key multilateral examples shaped modern trade. GATT laid the groundwork for tariff reduction. TRIPS protects intellectual property across borders to balance innovation and competition. And the Trade Facilitation Agreement streamlines customs to cut costs and speed cross-border goods movement. Regional trade agreements are formed among neighboring or geographically connected countries to make trade easier, with goals like lowering or eliminating tariffs, aligning policies on labor and the environment, and creating a collaborative framework for closer economic cooperation across a defined region. Looking at NAFTA's evolution, its successor USMCA, and the European Union, we see different models. NAFTA linked North American markets with mixed social impacts. USMCA updated rules for modern trade issues, and the EU represents deep integration with shared institutions and a single internal market. Regional agreements can stimulate growth and trade volume, but critics warn benefits may concentrate in wealthier members, raise sovereignty concerns when domestic policy space is reduced, and sometimes redirect trade in ways that increase costs rather than efficiency for some industries. Trade liberalization addresses tariff reductions but also faces non-tariff measures like quotas, licensing, and standards that can still restrict flows. Successful agreements combine tariff cuts with careful work on regulatory alignment to secure real market access for businesses. Rules of origin determine how much of a product must originate in partner countries to qualify for preferential rates, often require regional content thresholds, and rely on documentation standards to certify origins and prevent companies from routing goods through low-tariff countries to abuse benefits. Dispute settlement mechanisms create neutral processes for resolving trade disagreements without retaliation, include enforcement measures that can impose penalties when parties breach commitments, and build confidence between trading partners so agreements remain credible and durable in the long run. By reducing tariffs and barriers, trade agreements expand market access and attract foreign direct investment, spur competitive growth and innovation across industries, and can help correct trade imbalances by opening new opportunities for domestic exporters to reach global customers. Trade agreements affect labor in mixed ways. They can create jobs in export-oriented sectors and raise skill demands. Yet some workers may face wage pressures or displacement from cheaper competition, which is why modern agreements increasingly include worker protection and retraining measures. Environmental and social impacts matter. Some agreements include sustainability clauses to limit emissions and resource depletion, while others risk cultural pressures or resource exploitation if safeguards are weak, and benefits may not be distributed evenly across regions or social groups. Differences in political and economic priorities complicate negotiations, as some countries emphasize intellectual property and market access, while others seek protections for agriculture or labor. When power imbalances or geopolitical tensions exist, reaching balanced outcomes becomes harder. Balancing national sovereignty and global integration is an ongoing challenge. Negotiators must weigh domestic policy control against the economic gains of liberalization, manage disparities between industries and regions, and address public concerns to maintain political support for agreements. Addressing protectionism requires careful diplomacy. Tariff disputes often provoke resistance from industries that rely on customs duties. Non-tariff barriers like subsidies and safety rules need technical solutions, and rising populist sentiment can create political obstacles to ambitious liberalization efforts. NAFTA led to substantial regional trade growth, but also sparked debate over job shifts and environmental impacts. USMCA aimed to modernize rules, strengthen labor and environmental standards, and update digital trade provisions to reflect today's economic realities. The Trans-Pacific Partnership sought to cut tariffs across Pacific Rim countries, include stronger labor and environmental protections, and counterbalance regional rivals, though the US withdrawal reshaped the agreement and highlighted how political shifts influence trade architecture. The European Union pursues free trade through promoting cross-border investment, reducing trade barriers, and harmonizing regulations so member states can trade freely. This coordinated approach strengthens economic cooperation while aiming to protect common standards across the bloc. Thanks for watching our tour of trade agreements. We hope this overview clarifies how different deals work, what they aim to achieve, and the trade-offs involved, and that you feel better equipped to explore specific agreements or case studies in more depth.